Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, and today we'll be studying text number 5. Gunai Vichitraha Sajritim. 1 second. Text 4 and text 5. Or Srijatim Sarupaha Prakritim Prajaha Vilokya Mumuhe Sadyaha Saha Iha Jnanaguyaha Jnanaguhaya
ज्ञानगुह्या
Gunar Vichitra Srijatim Sarupa Prakritim Praja
Sarupa Prakritim Praja
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya Gunar Vichitra Srijatim Sarupa Prakritim Praja Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya Gunar Vichitra Srijatim Sarupa Prakritim Praja Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
Gandharvachitra Srijatim
Gunar Vichitra Srijatim
Sarupa Prakritim Prajaha
Sarupa Prakritim Praja
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Saha Jnana Guhya
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
Gunar Vititra Srijatim
Gunar Vichitra Srijatim
Sarupa Prakritim Rajaha
Sarupa Prakritim Praja
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
Gunar Vichitra Srijatim
Gunar Vichitra Srijatim
Sarupa Prakritim Praja
Sarupa Prakritim Praja
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Saha Jnana Guhya
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
Okay, online chant.
गुणैर्विचित्रः सृजतिम्
Gunar Vititra Srijatim
स्वरूपः प्रकृतिं प्रजः
Sarupa Prakritim Prajaha
विलोक्या मुमुहे सद्यः
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
स इह ज्ञानगूहया
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
गुणैर्विचित्रः
Gunar Vititra Srijatim
स्वरूपः प्रकृतिं प्रजः
Sarupa Prakritim Prajaha
विलोक्या मुमुहे सद्यः
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
स इह ज्ञानगूहया
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
Gunaivichitram Srijatim
Gunar Vititra Srijatim
Sarupa Prakritim Prajaha
Sarupa Prakritim Prajaha
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhyaha
Vilokya Mumuhe Sadhya
Saiha Gnana Guhaya
Sa Iha Jnana Guhaya
गुणैर्विचित्रसृजतीं
Gunar Vititra Srijatim
स्वरूपः प्रकृतिं प्रजः
Sarupa Prakritim Prajaha
लोक्य मुमुहे सद्यः
लोक्या मुमुहे सद्या
तैहा ज्ञानगुहया
सा इहा ज्ञानगुहया
Punarvichitra Srichatam
पुनर्विचित्रा सृजतिम्
Sarupaha Prakritim Prajaha
आरूपा प्रकृतिं प्रजहा
Vilokya Mumahe Sadhyaha
लोक्या मुमुहे सद्या
Sa Iha Yanya Guhaya
सा इहा ज्ञानगुहया
Threefold modes. Vichitraha, variegated. Srijatim, creating. Sarupaha, with forms. Prakritim, material nature. Prajaha, living entities. Vilokya, having seen. Mumuhe, was illusioned. Sadhyaha, at once. Saha, the living entity. Iha, in this world. Jnanaguhaya, by the knowledge covering feature. Translation. Divided into varieties by her threefold modes, material nature creates the forms of the living entities, and the living entities, seeing this, are illusioned by the knowledge covering feature of the illusory energy. Purport. Material energy has the power to cover knowledge, but this covering cannot be applied to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is applicable only to the praja, or those who are born with material bodies, the conditioned souls. The different kinds of living entities vary according to the modes of material nature, as explained in Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature. In Bhagavad Gita 7.12, it is very nicely explained that although the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are born of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is not subject to them. In other words, the energy emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot act on him. It acts on the conditioned souls, who are covered by the material energy. The Lord is the Father of all living entities because he impregnates material energy with the conditioned souls. Therefore, the conditioned souls get bodies created by the material energy, whereas the Father of the living entities is aloof from the three modes. It is stated in the previous verse that the material energy was accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order that he might exhibit pastimes for the living entities who wanted to enjoy and lord it over the material energy. This world was created through the material energy of the Lord for the so-called enjoyment of such living entities. Why this material world was created for the sufferings of the conditioned souls is a very intricate question. There is a hint in the previous verse in the word lilaya, which means, quote, for the pastimes of the Lord. The Lord wants to rectify the enjoying temperament of the conditioned souls. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that no one is the enjoyer but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This material energy is therefore created for anyone who pretends to enjoy. An example can be cited here that there is no necessity for the government's creation of a separate police department. But because it is a fact that some of the citizens will not accept the state laws, a department to deal with criminals is necessary. There is no necessity, but at the same time there is a necessity. Similarly, there was no necessity to create this material world for the sufferings of the conditioned souls, but at the same time there are certain living entities known as Nitya Baddha who are eternally conditioned. We say that they have been conditioned from time immemorial because no one can trace out when the living entity, the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, became rebellious against the supremacy of the Lord. It is a fact that there are two classes of men, those who are obedient to the laws of the Supreme Lord and those who are atheists or agnostics, who do not accept the existence of God and who want to create their own laws. They want to establish that everyone can create his own laws or his own religious path. Without tracing out the beginning of the existence of these two classes, we can take it for granted that some of the living entities revolted against the laws of the Lord. Such entities are called conditioned souls, for they are conditioned by the three modes of material nature. Therefore the words gunar vichitraha are used here. In this material world there are 8,400,000 species of life. As spirit souls, they are all transcendental to this material world. Why, then, do they exhibit themselves in different stages of life? The answer is given here. They are under the spell of the three modes of material nature. Because they were created by the material energy, their bodies are made of the material elements. Covered by the material body, the spiritual entity is lost, and therefore the word mamuhe is used here, indicating that they have forgotten their own spiritual identity. This forgetfulness of the spiritual identity is present in the jivas, or souls who are conditioned, being subject to be covered by the energy of the material nature, Jnana guhaya is another word used. Guha means covering. Because the knowledge of the minute conditioned souls is covered, they are exhibited in so many species of life. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 7th chapter, quote, "The living entities are illusioned by the material energy." In the Vedas, also, it is stated that the eternal living entities are covered by different modes and that they are called tri-colored, red, white, and blue living entities. Red is the representation of the mode of passion, white is the representation of the mode of goodness, and blue is the representation of the mode of ignorance. These modes of material nature belong to the material energy, and therefore the living entities under these different modes of material nature have different kinds of material bodies. Because they are forgetful of their spiritual identities, they think the material bodies to be themselves. To the conditioned soul, me means the material body. This is called moha, or bewilderment. It is repeatedly said in the Katha Upanishad that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never affected by the influence of material nature. It is rather the conditioned souls, or the minute infinitesimal parts and parcels of the Supreme, who are affected by the influence of material nature and who appear in different bodies under the material modes. We'll read the verse again. Gunar vichitra srijatim sarupa prakritim prajaha vilokya mamuhe sadhya saiha jnana guhaya. Divided into varieties by her threefold modes, material nature creates the forms of the living entities, and the living entities seeing this are illusioned by the knowledge-covering feature of the illusory energy. Okay. So if any of the senior devotees would like to say anything, please feel free at any time. And anybody in the audience can also raise their hand and we'll try to have a discussion. So, Prabhupada in this purport is referencing many, many verses from Bhagavad Gita. And the basic principle of advancement in Krishna consciousness is association with the sadhus. And that association is begun and founded upon the process of hearing. So Prabhupada is simply repeating what Krishna said and what the Vaishnavacharyas said to him. And in that way, we have the same message as Krishna, and that's all we do, is we just hear from Krishna about his world and his science and his devotion. And actually, hearing from the Acharya is non-different than hearing from Krishna. So that's why it's so important for us to hear. And then Prabhupada has described that I was listening to a lecture and he was saying that kirtan means to glorify, right? Or to describe. Krishna kirtan means you describe Krishna, like the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is full of descriptions of Krishna's person. You know, the glories of Krishna's service, the glories of Krishna's dham, the glories of Krishna's nam, the glories of Krishna's seva, in so many varieties. And ultimately, this charita, the qualities of Krishna, are described by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion, or the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Prabhupada follows in his footsteps. And he's always describing Krishna and Krishna's service. And actually, when Prabhupada even says in that lecture, you can describe Krishna with music. So that was actually really interesting to me, that when we do kirtan, we're actually describing Krishna. You know? We're describing Krishna with the ornaments and the melody and and the holy name. Ultimately, he's the center. He is Krishna, and we're describing him with all of these offerings upon him. He has appeared on our tongue by his grace. If it wasn't his mercy, I cannot say Krishna. Some people cannot say Krishna. And actually, I recently watched some content, and they were making a comment that in today's day and age, people cannot even read properly. And they were making this comment that they showed him the Maha Mantra and he was not able to pronounce it very closely at all. Something like hada 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 wada wada wada, something like this, right? And the idea is that he got credit for that because the mercy of the devotees. At the same time, Krishna did not allow him exactly to manifest the proper sound vibration. But actually, that's something that's very important about chanting the Maha Mantra, is that there are verses that say even if it's chanted improperly, the holy name will affect the heart and it will purify the heart. So we have to always remember that even the intent or on the order of the spiritual master to chant the holy name, we're not actually vibrating the holy name properly or hearing it. It's still working. Anyone there have a hand raised? No? Okay, so it's always good to remember that. So when we do our kirtan, when we describe what we heard, right? Then Prabhupada described in that lecture to us during his kirtan that it becomes imprinted upon us. We become the possessor of that knowledge, right? And so this is what Prabhupada does. That's what he did all night long. Every night he will simply absorb himself in repeating what he has heard, And we hear this, and then we live our entire lives repeating what we've heard from Prabhupada. So on this note, we hear here, Kapila Dev is actually saying many of the same things that are found in Gita. there's a verse which states that the living entities are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. What is that machine? That machine is the Dehinosmin yata dehe, this body. And the Dehino is the owner of the body seated within the body. Right? And it's also stated in the Gita that the living entity, according to his karma, right? According to his bondage, karma bandhana, he's actually given a body. He's offered a body as a gift from the material nature to satisfy his material desires. And Krishna is actually Eko Bahunam Yo Vididati Kaman. He's satisfying all the desires of everyone. How can we satisfy our desires? It's not possible. You just think about anything you want, you can't do it. You can't get it. Somebody has to give it to you. You're given it. Say you're hungry, you cannot produce foodstuffs. It's not possible. You must be gifted those foodstuffs by the material energy. Any fruits, any grains, any milks, any real food products cannot be manufactured. And any manufactured food products were manufactured from base materials which were provided by nature. So there's no way around it. You just make some word juggler. Yes, we are creating nice fake meat in the laboratory now. You can have some petri dish meat proteins that we produced. We are gods. No. I mean, that's not even pleasing. That's not even, doesn't seem tasty at all. Much less righteous. It's just strange. So we can see actually many of the living entities are in blue mode. And actually I was just reminiscing that, I have a fascination with blue. I always had a fascination with blue. Blue boy. The blues, It's actually a mode of ignorance, actually. Of course, the supreme bluish boy is Krishna. So his transcendental bluish or blackish color is not like the blue of this material world. It's not a depressing and melancholy and self-pitying type of a blue vibe. His blue is the supremely pleasing hue, skin tone of the Supreme Person. And we cannot imagine with our material mind such a beautiful person, such a beautiful boy, who is the transcendental autocrat, the transcendental supreme being whose will is reality, Satya Sankalpa. Right? So we cannot imagine that. But we in this material world, we are covered with this mode of ignorance and passion. And especially now in Kali Yuga, ignorance is becoming very, very prominent. Passion is the normal mode. Red is the normal color for the living entities on the earthly planets. Right? And those in the mode of white or those in the mode of goodness are mostly residents of the higher planets. And those who are in the mode of darkness are found within the lower regions. But we in this Kali Yuga are progressing more and more into this blue zone. And we're becoming obsessed with intoxication and self-pity and being morose as a type of exquisite preoccupation, It's interesting, you just listen to some of the music, it's like, it's like getting absorbed in this idea that, everything sucks and I suck and you suck and, let me just get drunk now and all this. Oh, she loved me and now she hates me, and he left me and now, or he tried to get me but he couldn't get me. Of course, that's a little bit more in the passion. It's always a mix. It's not pure. It's a mix. So these things are all spoken in Bhagavad Gita. I don't have the verses by heart. And but these various modes of nature are not our real nature. Prabhupada has a lecture where he says there's natural instinct. Yeah, there's actually two natural instincts for a person. The material natural instinct, the natural instinct in the material world is for increasing sense gratification to the utmost. That's the natural instinct. And therefore he's actually inclined to four activities. According to the Shastra, the living entities are actually pulled, the humans especially, are pulled towards four sinful pillars: meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. Right? And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that you can follow the principles of freedom and you can be free from these modes, red, blue, and white. You go to Shuddha Sattva. You can be in the Vaikuntha atmosphere. You have something? You can use the mic.
So this is an example of some current events that are taking one of these sinful activities, gambling, to its logical extreme, pointing toward a very dark future for Kali Yuga. Some of you might have heard of this Kalshi app, which is gambling on real life outcomes. It started with sports betting and gambling on the specific outcomes within a sports game, but they expanded it to betting on politics, on war, on trends, and there have been numerous recorded instances of politicians who control those very outcomes with insider knowledge, gambling on these real life scenarios, causing the wars and gambling on the outcomes of the wars and profiting off of the gambling from the outcomes of the wars. There was a good example of this in the recent attack on Venezuela. Think what you may of various politicians of this time. This is a very dark future that it points to, taking gambling into the logical extreme of manipulating the actuality, the reality of the things that are happening on our planet by those in power, those with the most resources to manipulate those outcomes. And talk about the mode of passion degrading into the mode of ignorance, because that's what will become of that, is like this milking of this thing. Is more so than milking, it's more like bleeding, bleeding of this desire to profit, leading to everyone's mutual detriment and manifesting the mode of ignorance. This isn't really a question, it's just something like to exemplify what you're saying.
Thank you very much. Very apropos and nicely worded. So, we have to understand illusion, moha. We have to understand nescience, the process of nescience. We also have to understand the process of knowledge. So, in the Bhagavatam and in the Gita, there is a dark side. There is a dark reality. And the idea is that it's not dark, it's light. it's shining light into the darkness. Otherwise, what happens is, in this material world, everybody may be talking about this, and they're also freaking out. Right? Because they say, oh my gosh, my body will be disenfranchised. My body will be, I will discomforted by all this manipulation by the politicians and so many things. What does that mean? That means they're in ignorance. As we think that we're the body, and because there's so much turmoil in the world, which is obviously going to affect my ability to enjoy a comfortable life, right? Then I'm in anxiety. But the devotees, they don't actually lament for the living nor the dead. This is a very interesting consciousness. It cannot be seen that they're callous to suffering, but they see it with the eyes of knowledge. You see, there is suffering in this world because the living entities have made their choice to turn against the Lord, and until they turn back to the Lord, they must suffer. And Prabhupada in the purport, he described why Krishna would create such a world of suffering for the living entities. And many people, they just lose it at that point. They say, I don't want to be part of such I don't want to surrender to such a God who makes this piece of dirt that I have to swim in the mud in. And they don't get past that because they don't actually trust the Lord. They don't trust that everything He does is good for everyone for all time. Think about this. We have so many examples in so many places. But there's a boy. And the boy has a loving father, but he gets restless because he's too passionate. Right? And he runs off from his father. He doesn't inherit the father's occupation. He doesn't live with the parents. He doesn't have loving exchanges with his family members, with his mother. He leaves for adventure, right? In the search of something for himself, for name and fame maybe, right? Or for the pleasures of the flesh, whatever they may be. Right? Or such a person may actually be seeking for some spiritual enlightenment. Right? Now, if somebody renounces their family life for that sake, then generally the Lord reciprocates with that person. Whatever we do for spiritual realization, the Lord will reciprocate. So for some material reason, the boy leaves home. The father is interested to actually bring him back. And he's always waiting by the phone. He's always waiting. Maybe he's going to call today. And as soon as he calls, you say, where are you? I'll come pick you up. I'll come and get you. Don't worry. I'll be there. Don't worry, don't worry about it. I'm coming. Right? So similarly, in that same way, right? The Lord has actually that type of attention for us, more than we can imagine. He's waiting. He's waiting so intently. As soon as you even say Hare Krishna as an insult to the devotees, you get liberated. Actually, there's three varieties of saying the name in an offensive way. One is by accident. One is in a critical mood, or actually envious of the devotees, like that. One is in a joking atmosphere, a joking mood, and you get benefit for all of them. Oh, he's listening and he's waiting, and as soon as you even do something, even you have no idea what the heck we're doing, but you do it for the purpose of searching after the truth, He's listening. And that's why some people, they say, yeah, I did drugs and the drugs did it for me, man. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Krishna was listening to your real heart. Somebody went out to the park to search for God and he got listened to too. And somebody else took a drive and he got listened to. And you took your drugs and you got listened to. But it's not that action that did it for you. It's Krishna. It's Krishna in the heart. And he saw that sincerity of search, the seeker. He saw the seeker's heart in you. That attitude, atato brahman jignasa, inquiring. Maybe I'll find something. Maybe I'll find it. But we're acting according to the modes, right? So according to the modes, we do different things, silly things, less silly things. But they're all silly until we search for Krishna. So we have to share this knowledge. It's our duty. It's our gift. It's our wonderful opportunity to share this knowledge, because when we do Krishna Kirtan, when we glorify the Lord, right, in this Sankirtan movement, then Krishna becomes very close to our hearts. And if we go on hearing and hearing about Krishna, then he can be conquered. Ajit will become Jit. Means that he will become, the unconquerable will become conquered by this submissive hearing from the proper authorities, such as Srila Prabhupada. So thank you for tolerating me. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to some devotees.